Welcome everyone to this new video, chapter 13. This is the cost of production. Remember, this is a book of Gregory Mankiw, Principles of Economics. Today we're going to work from exercise number 6 to exercise number 10. This is the 7th edition of the book. So here we have the first question. Consider the following cost information for a pizzeria. So here we have the next table where it summarizes the main idea of the total cost and variable cost for this particular firm. So here we are going to understand what this table says. So first we have here the quantity is about the production. So this when the quantity, the production is measured by dozen pixels. So it's going to be 0 to 6,000 pixels. The total cost of producing 0 is going to be 300, and the cost of producing 6,000 pixels is going to be 540. Then we have here the variable cost. Remember, the total cost is equal to variable cost uh, plus fixed cost. So here what we have here is the variable cost plus the fixed cost is going to be the total cost. So remember, the variable cost, it changes with the production. And naturally, the variable cost you can consider in the pizza industry, you can say about, for example, the workers, the ingredients to produce pizza, basically. So if you don't produce any pizza at all, then you don't need to pay anything about the variable cost. Imagine that this first quantity, it implies that you need to uh, spend $50 for this production. So this is the variable cost, and it increases naturally because with the time that you produce more, it is likely that you need to spend more for fulfill this production. And then the question says about the next thing. What is the pizzeria's fixed cost? Then remember that the total cost is the sum of variable cost plus fixed cost. So you have like different methods to discover which is the fixed cost. The first one here, when you have 0 as a variable cost, this value is going to be naturally the fixed cost because you don't produce anything, but you need to pay that. It doesn't matter how much you produce. So for this reason, the fixed costs, they don't depend on the production at all. So for this reason, this is going to be 300. And actually, each production difference, 350 minus 50, is going to be 300. Again, the fixed cost. Or here we have again the subtraction of 540 minus 240 is going to be 300. So 300 is going to be the fixed cost of this pizzeria. Then the B, construct a table in which you calculate the marginal cost per dozen pizzas using the information on total cost. Also, calculate the marginal cost per dozen pizzas using the information on variable cost. What is the relationship between these sets of number? Comment. So here I summarize again the same table I just put here in my table. So this is exactly the same. Now we're going to figure out about the marginal cost, okay, which is the first question. The marginal cost, remember, is how much is going to vary your cost when you produce an additional quantity. So the marginal cost of producing 1 unit of the dozen pixel more is going to be 350 minus 300 is going to be 50, and we put in the middle of the rows because in the middle this is a change from 1 or from 0 to 1 better. So here the other one is going to be 40, 30, 30, 40, and 50. Then the other question says about the variable cost. So here let's have a look here. So here we have. So here also calculate the marginal cost using this information on variable cost. So what is the idea? I didn't do it here, but we can implement here. If we made the marginal cost just to the variable cost, is going to be this difference. So it's going to be 50, 40, 30, 40, and this 150. So what is the relationship between this marginal cost based on the total cost and based on the variable cost? They are exactly the same. Why? Because because the fixed cost, as we said previously, it doesn't change with the production. So then at the end of the day, what we are doing in order to figure out about the marginal cost, we are making the differences or the difference just in the variable cost. What is really changes throughout the units. The fixed cost is going to remain the same. The seventh question says, your cousin Vinnie owns a painting company with fixed cost of 200 and the following schedule for variable cost. Here we are. We have here the table. So here the quantity measured in Y, houses painted per month from 1 to 7 houses, and here we have the variable cost. So the variable cost as the pizzeria were the ingredients. At this time you would say the paintings, right? All the materials necessary to paint. So this one it will change because with if you paint more houses, naturally you need to spend more in paint on paint. So here the question is calculate average fixed cost. So the question says calculate average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost for each quantity. What is the efficient scale of the painting company? So here we have so we're going to express here first the fixed cost. So the fixed cost is going to be 200. So naturally for each production is going to be exactly the same. So 200 in each square here. Then the average fixed cost. Remember, every time we have this word average, we need to divide on the quantities. So it's going to be 200 over 1, then 200 over 2, over 3, over 4, over 5, over 6, over 7. So here, what is the first thing that you um, realize here? You can realize here that it decreases all the time. And why? Basically because you have the same value and you're increasing the denominator. So for this reason, this is decreasing all the time. Then the total cost, we have variable cost plus fixed cost. It's going to be 300 plus 10 plus 20, 40, 80, 160, 320, 640. So here we have basically total cost. This is going to be this one plus this one. It to be 840. And then with this information, actually we can already have here the average total cost. I say before, every time you have the average, you need just to divide by the quantities. So it's going to be this 210 over 1, this one over 2, this over 3, this over 4, this over 5, and this one then over 6, and this over 7. So the question says about the average. Okay, fixed cost, we already did it. Average total cost for each quantity. And the question basically, what is the efficient scale of the painting company? So when we are talking about efficiency, basically we need to figure out of the average total cost, because in this one you need to understand at what level you produce and the average total cost of, so it means the cost of producing each of the, in this time the painting month, so the painting houses. So this time this average is going to be this one. This is the minimum average total cost that you have, and need is for the measure of 4 houses painted per month. So this is going to be the scale which is more efficient for this your cousin. Next question says the city government is considering two tax proposals. The first proposal is a lump sum tax of 300 on each producer of hamburgers. Remember, when we talk about lump sum tax, it means that it doesn't matter if you produce 0 pizzas or you produce 100 pizzas, everyone needs to pay this 300. So automatically you grasp that it won't affect anything the variable cost. It will go directly to the fixed cost. The second one is about a tax of $1 per burger paid by producers of hamburgers. So this time you automatically understand that it goes directly to the variable cost because if you produce 0 pizza, so you don't pay anything. But if you produce 7 hamburgers, you need to pay $10. So then the first question says, which of the following curves, average fixed cost, average variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost, would shift as a result of the lump sum tax? Why? Show this in a graph. Label the graph as precisely as possible. So here, first, what are the x's? The x's are quantity here, so at this time quantity of hamburgers, and this one the cost, okay, in dollars, measured in dollars. So here we have the first one, and which is this curve. This curve is the average fixed cost, and we'll label like 1. So here we have the average fixed cost, which is going to be this one, and why does this shape basically this shape is given because remember the fixed cost they don't change for the quantity produced, and then when you divide by the quantity it's going to be immediately decreasing. So for this reason it's going to be this one. And then it's important to understand that this fixed cost is going to um, move to the right part or like up in the same quantity of 300. Because for example the first one, the first quantity, it was $300 for saying something, and then with the lump sum it's going to be this $300 plus the lump sum, which is $300, so it's going to be 600. So this is going to be this is going to move to the right part. So we'll say this one is going to be the other one. And for the second, for example, the second production is going to be this the same 300 over 2 is going to be 150, and the other one is going to be 600 divided 2, so it's going to be 300. You see the distance remains exactly the same. So here we have the other curve, which is going to be average variable cost. Here it was the average variable cost, which has usually this shape, a decreasing part when the marginal cost is down here, and when the marginal cost cuts in the minimum part of the average variable cost is going to be the increasing part. So remember, because the lump sum it just affect the fixed cost, is going to remain exactly the same. And then the other one is going to be this one, the average total cost. So this was the first one, and this is going to be the second one. Why? Remember that the total cost is the sum of the variable cost plus the fixed cost. The variable costs remain the same, but the fixed costs they change due to the lump sum tax. So for this reason, this one is going to move to the right part, or is going to move up. It's going to increase for each level quantity due to the lump sum tax. And then the other question says about the marginal cost. So here this is the marginal cost before, and why is going to remain the same, because basically as you notice and example that we did before, remember the example that we did before when we make the marginal cost just based on the total cost and based on the variable cost is going to be exactly the same. Okay, so due to the fixed costs they change, but the variable costs remain the same, it means automatically that the marginal cost is going to be exactly the same. The other part of this point says about the same curves, but we need to do about the other one, the tax of $1 per burger. So remember, we're going to move at this time the variable cost. So here is going to be this one, the average fixed cost is going to be exactly the same before the tax and after the tax, because the fixed cost they won't change at all. The other one that we are going to analyze is about the average variable cost, and remember, because it will changes by each unit of one, so it means that you need to pay one more. For example, if your eight quantities produced, you need to pay $80. But now due to this one, you need to pay $8 more, so it's going to be this one 8. Okay, this is going to be the difference. And this one, the seventh, is going to be this one, let's say 70 or something, and this one plus the other one is going to be 7. So this one, what basically is not really shown in this graph. The first distance is going to be just 1, the second distance is going to be 2, and so on and so forth. So maybe this distance will increase with the time that you produce, that you go over the quantities. So maybe I didn't express well this one, but the idea is the first quantity is going to be just $1 difference, the second one is going to be $2. So maybe you can argument this one when you write in order to be more clear. Then the other curve that we talk about is the average total cost is going to be exactly the same as the average variable cost. Remember that the average total cost is basically the same between the average variable cost plus the average fixed cost. So here we are. And the marginal cost, this time it will change. I'm sorry here. It will change. I didn't put this one, but it will change. Why it will change? Because the variable cost will change each time. Okay, so due to it changes, so this change between the quantities makes that the marginal cost will be higher. So how we can express this one? I'm going to use this one. I'm going to write over here. Okay, this one is going to be something here. The 0 unit. Okay, it's just the first unit, so we don't have any change. But the second one is going to be a difference, going to be one more. So it's going to be something like here. So it's going to be this one, the marginal cost 2. Okay. Then the other question says, Jane's juice bar has the following cost schedules. So here we have basically the same as we did before with the dozen pizzas, but with vats of juice. And here we have the variable cost, and here the total cost. Here you automatically infer that the 30 is going to be the fixed cost. The question says calculate the average variable cost, average total cost, and margin cost for each quantity. So the first one is going to be the average variable cost. So it's just this one divided the quantity. Here naturally I put a hyphen because it's going to be 0 over 0. It's not like determinate, but from the second one we can already have that. 10 over 1, 25 over 2, and so on and so forth. This one is going to be 135 over 6. Here we have the average total cost. It's going to be this one, 30 over 0, which is not defined. It's going to be this one hyphen, then 40 over 1, 55 over 2, 75 over 3, 100 over 4, 130 over 5, and 165 over 6. And here is the marginal cost. Remember, is the change this one by each unit, which is going to be at this time is going to be 10. It's going to be the change of the total cost, going to be this one 10. Then it's going to be 15, this change, and then it's going to be 20, 25, 30, and 35. make clear here that it is exactly the same change here. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. Exactly the same. Then they says, okay, they say, okay, graph all three curves. What is the relationship between the marginal cost curve and the average total cost curve? Between the marginal cost curve and the average variable cost curve, explain. So before that, before we need to arrive to this graph, and I'm going to explain how we can have this graph. So it's going to be in Excel. So here we have basically the graph that we need to arrive, and I'm going to show you how we can arrive to that. I know that maybe it's easy for you, but you can skip and go ahead in this video. So here we have this one, we have already the values. So I'm going to make insert, then I'm going to make this 2D line. Here I need to select the data, and I'm going to the next. I am going to this one, select data. Then I'm going to try to use all this stuff. Okay, and this one you will verify. The quantity is not going to be in the axis. So you can in this one. Let me see something. I'm going to uncheck all this one. I'm going to start quantity. I don't need, so I can remove this one. Let me see here. Can remove this one. Okay, I removed it. Then the variable this one, the variable cost, I can remove as well, and the total cost I can remove. So here I need to add the marginal cost. It's going to be this one, and the values is going to be this one. Okay, and then this one we have, I need to edit. Then the label range is going to be this one from 0 to 6. Okay, and then I'm going to select all three, and I will say okay. So here we are, but I need to identify more the axis, the label. So I'm going to put here a chart element. So this one is going to be the axis title, this one the primary, and the other one which is going to be the primary vertical. So here we have the cost, and here we have the quantities, and here we still need the title. So I'm going to put here, let's see where we can find chart title. So I'm going to put 7 chart overlay. So to be this one is going to be the cost, and then we just need the label. So it's going to be this one, the legend. So I'll say more legend options, and I'm going to put the right, but show the legend without overlapping this chart. Maybe you can have more space with this one, so you put this one, and automatically you can move whatever you want. It's going to be over here. So here is how you can build this chart with all the elements necessary. So we already create that, and we have here. Remember the question was, what is the relationship between the marginal cost curve and the average total cost curve? So here we have the marginal cost curve, which is going to be this one, is this part, and the relation with the average total cost. Remember, the relationship is the next. This marginal cost, when it's down, when it's smaller than the average total cost, it means that the average total cost is decreasing. And when the marginal cost overpasses the average total cost, it increases. And why does it happen? Basically, imagine that this is like your GPA, okay? So here, for example, when you have the next exam, and if your next exam is smaller than your average, naturally your average will decrease. But in the other part, if your next exam is going to be higher than your average will increase. So this is the relationship. And every time you cut this one, the marginal cost cuts the average total cost in the minimum. And now between the marginal cost curve and the average variable cost curve. Here we have the average variable cost curve, and remember that at this time the marginal cost is like the difference between the variable cost. So then at this time you have like the marginal cost is the differences of quantity produced for the variable cost, and this one, the average variable cost, is the variable cost divided. So this is the change and this is the average. So this is the relation between them. Then the last question is, consider the following table of long run total cost for three different firms. Remember the difference between long run and short run in economics. In the short run, you cannot you cannot change the size of your plant, so it is completely fixed. So, for example, a vehicle plant, you cannot change from one day to another overnight. So this is the time that you can change your plant size, or you can acquire new devices or new equipment to produce more. So at this time, we can consider in the long run there are no fixed costs anymore. All the costs are a variable. So here we have three firms. We have the quantity produced in the long run, and here we have the cost. The question says, does each of these firms experience economies of scale of these economies of scale? Remember, economies of scale is when the average total cost is decreasing, and these economies of scale is when the average total cost is increasing. So here we're going to put all these firms average total cost. So this one is going to be 60, which is going to be 60 over 1, 70 over 2, 80 over 3, 90 over 4, 100 over 5, 110 over 6, and 112 over 7. So this one automatically it decreases. So this is an economy of scale. This one is going to be 11 over 1, 24 over 2, 39 over 3, 56 over 4, 75 over 5, 96 over 6, and 119 over 7. This one, it increases. So this is an this economy of scale. And the other one is going to be 24, 17, 16.3, 33, 16.4, 17, 17.66, and this one. As you notice, this one, during the quantities from 1 to 5, it presents economies of scale, and from the fifth unit, it produces this part. Okay, that's all for this video. I apologize again for my voice. I still with a nice cold, so for this reason I stop like sometimes because I start coughing. But that's YouTuber life. Okay, okay. I hope it's worth. I hope you can have an idea what I talked about. Remember, it's just my point of view. It's not the final truth. If you think that maybe something is wrong, I will be more than happy to listen. That maybe we can build another better answer. So that's all. See you the next video. This time, Merry Christmas for everyone because I did the 24th. Okay, bye bye.